Welcome into the official for one more week of recruiting. And of course, we're going through the 2024 class now here at C2C. We have introduced you to some names already. And tonight we're going to do that again. We've kind of recently been going over some grades, maybe a fully formed opinion of some of these players. Tonight, we are going to give you a first look at guys who probably are going to make the freak list. This is something we put out last year. It was very entertaining. One of the most fun things I think that we did as the official. And we'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. But we're going to get a sneak preview of the freak class. So not necessarily if they are good at football as much, but just freak athletes, guys to keep your eye out. And then, of course, most recent commitments. This is the official. All right, welcome in, Matt. Good to have you. We do have an announcement that David is on the IL right now, not feeling well today, and kind of called in sick for this podcast. So just you and me, and we wish David the best. Hopefully he gets better quickly. I'm sure he will. He's a strong young pup. And this is the official. But before we get started, of course, if you haven't watched us before, our parent website, campustocanta.com, gives you everything you need for your fantasy football experience. And that starts with college fantasy football, kind of redraft even, C2C, where you have a college side that feeds into an NFL side dynasty roster. Devy, of course, which is where you're stashing college players who will then migrate to your NFL side. Those don't accrue points in the Devy leagues. And then you've got your full-blown dynasty NFL. And we can give you all the things that you need to be better in all of those formats over at campustocanta.com. We have subscriptions starting as low as $2.99 a month. And then as you increase in some of the subscription plans, you get all the bells and whistles, tools, articles, private chats. We're doing a lot of, we have an NIL tier, kind of one of our premium tiers, where we will give you a full hour to just talk about all your rosters with a founding member of C2C. We're going through those right now. Those are very popular. But, we try to make it a fully immersive experience. Go check us out. That's campustocanta.com. Now, I will stop talking a minute. Matt's going to get a lot of showtime here tonight. He's going to walk us through a lot of these players. But first, Matt, can you tell new listeners what the freak list is and what happened last year with the freak list and, what you're looking forward to this year for that list that we will be putting out in a few months?
Yeah, so last year was the first year we did it. It's obviously very heavily inspired by Bruce Feldman's yearly list he puts out for The Athletic. Just an awesome resource, just giving you, a lot of unverified measurables, but a lot of them actually did hold up this year when it came time for the combine. And, it's just good to see which of these guys are going to, really pop off on the combine side of things in the future.
Yeah, and you're right. Somewhat unverified, but sometimes we feel good about it. And, a guy who was at the very, very top of the list last year is already kind of popping, and that's Cam Seldon, who was a major freak for us last year. And also Nicholas Harbor, who actually didn't make the list, right? Because I don't think we thought there's any chance he played offense.
At that point, we were still thinking there was a strong chance he was going to play defensive end in college. So.
And we're pretty sure he got kind of promised he'll play some wide receiver tight end for South Carolina. So he would have made the list. And I didn't hear anything actually in spring. I don't know if he was even on campus, to be honest with you. But
no, he's still in school doing track.
Okay. So, but Cam Seldon's already showing off in the spring game. He was one of our biggest freaks. So, we think it's a fun thing, if nothing else. Not necessarily talking about football skills here tonight, but just guys who are showing like supreme athleticism, and they're usually interesting recruits, if nothing else, because you're hoping for some development there and all that. So, without further ado. The list is certainly not settled. Obviously, we've got a month before it comes out. These are guys who, at the moment, are probably headlining certain categories. And the first one here, Jelani Watkins, is a wide receiver, 5'9", 165. I do not think we are going to find a faster guy. He has documented a 10-point 2.02 100-meter. That is ridiculous. Like borderline
And
Olympic stuff.
as a freshman in high school, which makes
As
it
a freshman.
a bit even crazier.
So you've got that 99th percentile. Can you tell us a little bit more about Watkins, either athleticism, speed, or just football ability that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean he's obviously a very small receiver, down the field threat. He has an awesome 200-meter time they ran this year as well, a 20.39, which is very very scary. That's high end no matter how you look at it. That's also 99th percentile in our database of other former football players that participated in track. So yeah, I mean just speed for days. I believe he's either top, at the end of the 24/7's top 10 or just outside of their top 10 wide receivers. So they actually are pretty high on him. I think he definitely has some work to do at becoming an actual wide receiver still, but I mean that you're not going to find anybody with better gifted speed than that really.
Absolutely.
And we have a clip of him too, Alfred.
Oh, whoops. All right, let's do that. But yeah, I mean, just while we watch him here, 10.02 is that's Olympic level. I mean, those guys, I guess, a gold medal is probably going to be sub 10, but that's just absolutely ridiculous. Showing a little change of direction there. Not only a straight line guy, which is nice. Some of these guys, really don't show any wiggle or change of direction, but we're going to need to see that in a wide receiver.
Yeah, I definitely want to see him get a little bit more refined. He's doing, a lot of basic things that you would expect, a really fast wide receiver in high school to do, which is a lot of goes and posts. So, definitely want to see him work on that at the next level. But, athletic ability-wise, everything there you could possibly want.
Yeah. And then we've got some honorable mentions. Makai Danzy, 46.16 400-meter. That's a 99th percentile. So that's more of a very, very long speed, though, 400-meter. Gatlin Blair, Dwight Phillips Jr. Looks like they've got juniors. Dwight Phillips got 22 miles per hour on field. That's great. And a 10.26 100-meter, which
he's actually son of Olympic gold medalist long jumper Dwight Phillips. So
okay, we got
very
some,
good
we've got some Olympic level guys this year. That's pretty fun. All right, so moving on to burst. Now, how do you measure burst?
Yeah, so burst is any of the jumping. So vertical jump, broad jump, triple jump, long jump, high jump. That's everything we currently are putting into it.
All right, so DeMontre Patterson, we've got him here. Looks like a kickoff return, but tell us about him. 5'9", 160, and he's got this 132-inch broad, which you've got as 97th percentile, so that's pretty good burst, like you said.
Yeah, I believe this was out of testing of a recent UC report camp. They've been putting out some of their results. And, 132 broad's ridiculous. He's another very tiny guy, 5'9", 160. And he's outside of On3's, composite top 100 wide receivers, I believe, 122. I just checked earlier. So maybe a sleeper guy to keep an eye on, super, super late, or waivers, obviously. Probably not a guy you're drafting, though.
Yeah, 132. Just in case you're out there driving, you don't want to do the math while you're trying to pay attention to the road. 132 is going to be 120 inches. Obviously, is going to be 10 feet. 132 is like
it's 11
quick math. That's 11 feet, right? 12 more inches. So 11 feet, which actually that is ridiculous. Most of these guys, even in the NFL level, don't clear 11 feet when they do the combine broad. All right, and then we've got Makai Danzy shows up again as an honorable mention, 130-inch broad jump. Ernest Campbell, 130, and Zechariah Sample, 130 as well. So we've got some guys coming in with a good broad jump. All right, great thing to talk about here, agility. We all love agility, and I was shocked with some of these numbers. These are really nice. Gabriel Winowich, he's a running back headed to Rutgers. Can you tell us about him? With his agility numbers.
Yeah, he's a player out of Michigan, actually, and he's 6'1", 220 pounds, and that's a very big boy with some very good agility numbers. A 6.58 3-cone and a 3.98 shuttle. Both those are over 98th percentile in my database, and especially a player his size, it's definitely pretty special there. Rutgers is going after a lot of these big time testers in the last couple of years, and Winovich, he's not some big name high school player at the moment, but he's definitely somebody I think could develop into something more at the next level. So I'll probably be a bit higher on him than the
Yeah, I mean,
services.
you look at that clip there. By the way, if you're listening on podcast, which I know is the more popular way to listen to our show, and we really appreciate you doing that, but if you check out the YouTube, we've got clips. You can see these guys and what they are doing. Gabriel Winovich, right there. I mean, you can see he's super agile. He does have breakaway speed. You said it's Michigan competition, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what his top miles per hour is, but you can see him moving laterally there and with some jukes and stuff. That's pretty awesome. Interesting guy going to Rutgers. I think I made a joke. The next Brian Leonard,
Yeah.
who was an awesome like fullback, running back type guy for them, who was a pass catcher and all those good things. Some honorable mentions here. Luke Moga, quarterback with a 4.01 shuttle. That's great. Cam Coleman, 6.73 cone and a 419 shuttle. That's nice. And then Noreel White, 4.02 shuttle. So we got some other guys very agile getting around those drills. Strongest right now, sitting at the catbird seat for strongest player of the fantasy relevant guys, that we look at, Jamarian Burnett, 6'1", 230. Talk to us about this guy. He's probably a load to bring down, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's a Auburn commit and just extremely powerful. Not the fastest or most agile, but definitely brings some power with his 700-pound deadlift, which is absurd. That's very, very high end. That's what NFL players are doing, like top end NFL players. So that's pretty ridiculous. A 530-pound squat is nothing light either. That's very good as well. So definitely a very powerful runner, that's for sure.
And he looks like it here on tape. Honorable mentions Daniel Hill, a 635 squat. Wow, 635 squat. Caden Williams, 354 clean. And Johan Cardenas, 375 bench. Wow, 375 for a high school kid. 89th percentile. I'm shocked it's only 89th percentile.
There's some big time bench presses in there.
Yeah. All right. So that is some of our kind of guys who are sitting at the top of some of these superlatives. Of course, by the time we get the full-blown thing out, maybe some of these guys are still sitting there. Maybe we uncover some more freaks as we continue to mine all the prospects this year. But right now, names to keep in mind, guys who are at the top of some of these metrics. We also have an athlete score. Can you tell us how you create the athlete score, Matt?
Yeah, it's just a weighed score between the four categories that we have: speed, power, burst, agility. We take their highest percentile in each of those categories, and then they're each weighed based on to predict draft capital. That's how we decide to do ours. So, yeah, it's based on what the NFL likes.
Pretty awesome, of course. Well, we like what the NFL likes, of course. Here's a guy definitely worth mentioning. I mean, we've got three here that kind of are at the top of the athlete numbers right now.
Oh, and we should probably clear it's size adjusted too. That's very important.
Okay, make sure, of course, always should be size adjusted athletes. Number one right now for us is a guy with a 98 athlete score, Jaden Riddell, who's a tight end listed at 6'4", 233. And we've got a nice some clips of him. Why don't you tell us why he's ranked at such a high-end athlete here? And we love that at tight end.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like there. He's 6'4", listed as high as 233 pounds, so already a very well-built tight end. But we were able to clock him at 21.4 miles per hour, and on top of that, he has reported 40 times there in the low 4.4s, which is insane. Maybe a bit of exaggeration at this stage. You never really know with recruits. But either way, we know he's fast. And a reported 37-inch vertical as well. So, he has that explosive reach. So, at the moment, just because of his massive size and then having such good numbers in these other two categories, that's vaulting him up to the number one spot at the moment.
Well, and I know I knew that name, and now I'm remembering. I mean, I'm sure you've mentioned him too, but I think David specifically brought him up on a show in recent weeks.
Yes, he drafted him in the mock draft.
He drafted
at the
him
end
in the
of the
mock
first,
draft.
I believe.
Okay, and he also, we have reason to believe that he may have even pushed out the Georgia tight end commit because they pushed him out, and then he basically got crystal balled within a very short time frame. So Georgia's got their eye on this guy. He's currently being crystal balled to Georgia, so just kind of another
Mm-hmm.
check mark there in terms of he's a really good tight end prospect, and the tape there was really impressive. Ryan Wingo, who's I know is a guy that C2C is a little down on compared to consensus. 6'2", 215, but a 96 athlete score here. And tell us what you like about him, and at least in terms of his testing, as we roll the clip.
Yeah, I mean, I've been critical of him so far on the pods this season, but you definitely cannot deny the athletic ability. I mean, he's very good linear times in a 10.5 100-meter in this track season, a 21.21 200-meter, a 36.5-inch vert, and a 121-inch broad jump. So very good linear testing times. As you can just see, if you're watching, you can see in the video there, he moves pretty good laterally too. I mean, for a guy pushing 215 pounds, he's just a very good all-around mover, not just straight line track speed.
Right, and you can, 6'2", 215. I mean, that is even big for a wide receiver these days, where guys are getting drafted at 178 and 185. I mean, that's massive, and you got to figure he'll put on 5 to 7 at least. I mean, he could be at 220, and if he even retains his athleticism, that's going to be real impressive. And then we've got Gatlin Blair, 6'2", 190, 94 ranking athlete for our scoring system here. And I'll just throw the first number out there, 10.18 100-meter. Tell us more about him, but that is cooking.
Yeah, I mean, he's been making a big name for himself this offseason. He's been just destroying the track scene. He's a player out of Idaho, 6'2", 190 pounds, 180 pounds, around there. Currently uncommitted, but he's getting offers from pretty much everywhere because it's just rare you see somebody with this much verified testing. I mean, on top of the 100-meter, he has a 20.61 200-meter, a 49.3 400-meter, 6.69 60-meter, just under a 47-foot triple jump, a 38-inch vertical jump, 545-pound deadlift. So there's a ton to like there athletically. I definitely have questions about his game as well, on top of Wingo's. And for fantasy purposes, he is going on a 2-year mission, which is going to probably bring down his stock a good bit in drafts in next year this time.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, there's a guy. He might be done.
Cody Hagen.
I love that guy. Is it just 1 year or 2 years?
I think he was going on a 2 year. So after this season,
was he 2021 or 2022?
He was 22.
Okay, 22 class. Well, yeah. So he's still on the mission field, but man, I loved that guy so much, and he looked legit.
Yeah, he was fun.
Awesome.
Corner
BYU,
Canyon.
I'm sure. Yeah, and he'll wind up at BYU eventually, and hopefully we'll get to see him. But that's it's an interesting thing. I think Austin asked someone who was mentioning one of these guys. I don't know, it was Blair, another guy. Asked a recruiter on Twitter, I think recently, do you weigh that into your prospect eval? Obviously, you're not going to weigh it into his football skills, but projection, I think.
I mean, especially for fantasy wise, it's
sure
relevant for sure.
Yeah, tough stuff there for us, but good for him sticking to what he wants to do there. All right, and we've got some commitments here. Micah Gilbert headed to Notre Dame, 6'3", 203. Just looking at his measurements, I feel like David would be like, yeah, this is the kind of guy we always get. Straight line jump ball, not very agile, not very exciting. Do you have anything else to say about Michael Gilbert? Or did
I think you just nailed it, honestly. I'm not going to lie.
He always says.
He's a big X. I mean, he got him a 21 flat, I believe, so great speed at his thick frame. Good going up and getting balls. Very much a linear guy, though, I feel like, and playing North Carolina competition, just kind of dominating them. So,
yeah. All right.
Not a ton of competition in that room, though, so maybe.
Yeah, we're channeling our inner David here with him not here, but yeah, that's what he would say. Okay, and then we got Isaiah Williams, 6 feet 172, going to Florida. He is the consensus wide receiver 48. I think he's just kind of a small, fast guy. I mean, do you have anything special to say about him? I did watch him when he committed, but there wasn't really too much to say.
Yeah, I like him. I don't love him. I mean, he's kind of one-dimensional in that he's just a faster down-the-field threat. I think, especially with how good the crop from last year's class sounds like, probably not going to get much time, I'd imagine.
Well, and fingers crossed. There's a lot of whispers that Jeremiah Smith is considering us, but we'll see. I don't believe it unless it happens.
That would be awful.
Well, yeah, it would be awful for fantasy. All right, then we got Xavier Jordan, 6'1", 165. He's the highest ranked guy we have committed this past week, at least in terms of the fantasy relevant guys. Wide receiver 17 consensus headed to USC, so you love that offense. Can he make an impact? I mean, they're getting to be like USC a little bit, especially with the 2023 class they just signed. Sorry, getting to be like Ohio State is what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's getting a bit crowded. I like him. I don't love him. He's not an elite mover per se, but he has very high end ball skills. He's pretty refined, so I think he can make an impact pretty early on. And even if he's only ends up as the wide receiver 3 in that offense, in the coming years, I still think that it's still a relevant play, and he definitely has NFL upside. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
All right, not too bad there. Matthew Oguniyi, I think is how you would say it. 6'5", 205, so a little light, but a tight end, ranked at tight end 60. Headed to Rutgers, which is kind of like, You like him any special, or did you just put him on here because he was a tight end and we
yeah, he's actually pretty athletic, even at his, he's smaller for a tight end prospect, 205, 210, around there. But especially long speed wise, he had a 51-second 400-meter, which is pretty good for a player his size. So I think if he can add weight and keep his athleticism, I think he could be somebody to watch out for eventually. But definitely not a draftable player at this point, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Lyle, running back, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Is this Ohio State's third running back in the class?
Yeah, we have 3 at the moment, yeah. James Peoples and Sean Williams Dixon, I believe.
Yeah. So this is their third, but I think someone pointed out recently, probably on our thread, we were talking about this. They did not take a running back in 2023. So I guess they're trying to, backfill some positions there. So Jordan Lyle, consensus running back 27. Any reason to believe he, is that underrated for him? Is he exciting in any way?
Well, On3 is much higher on him than the other services. I believe that he's a top 5 back for them, or somewhere around there, top 10 for sure. They're much higher on him than everybody else is. I don't quite see it that way. I would say he's about the same talent level as James Peoples. I think they're both good backs, but I don't think they're like a Trevion level back. They're more. I think they're probably more going to be like a year or two filling guys, not anything special. So we'll see. I mean, he is just as likely to be out James Peoples if either of them even become the next back there. But I just don't love either.
Sure.
But that's the case for most of the backs in this class. This is it's awful. It's tough.
Well, and even the 2023 wasn't the best.
2023 looks like an oasis right now. The deeper I go into this class, man.
No.
Guys, eat up these 2023 running backs while you can. It's rough.
All right. Well, that is a great nugget for why you should listen to the official, because you're already, maybe that changes the way you draft your 2023 freshman or something like that. So good to know. Good to keep looking further down the line.
Legitimately, there were 5 backs I would take in that class before a single back in this class.
All right. Well, that is great to know, everybody. And I think we can end with that. That is a great applicable thing to take home with you from this episode, in addition to all the names that we gave out to you. A little short tonight, but that's okay. We didn't have 3 voices. We just had 2. But Matt, thanks for all the work kind of putting together, already starting to compile the freak list. That was one of the most fun things last year. And holy crap, I mean, I just can't get over Jelani Watkins with the 10.02. I'm not sure we've seen a number that low, period. I mean, no one breaks 10 in high school that we know of that plays football, at least. Yeah, that's about as low as we've seen. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining. David, get well soon. And thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been The Official.